Okay, so we're going deep on Yellowstone,
Mm.
and there's a lot to unpack here.
Oh, yeah.
Remember all that craziness about Kevin Costner leaving the show?
Right, right.
Well, Luke Grimes, our super intense Case Dutton, just spilled some serious tea in an interview.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We've got this Fox News Entertainment article. It's from December 13th, and it's got all the juicy details. But the thing that, totally blew my mind was Grimes saying that filming the last season was actually easier without Costner.
Really?
I know, right?
That's pretty bold. I mean, it really makes you wonder what was going on behind the scenes, you know?
Yeah.
You don't hear actors saying that very often,
Not at all.
especially not about a lead actor leaving. Like, was there some tension going on, or did it actually, make things simpler?
Right. Or maybe it freed up space for other characters and their stories to, really come out.
Yeah, that's possible. Think about it. When you've got a huge star like Costner,
Yeah.
his storylines, they probably get more attention, more screen time, even more resources.
So maybe in a way, Costner leaving gave other actors like Grimes more of a chance to shine.
Exactly.
It's almost like a prayer valve was released or something.
Yeah, and that could explain why Grimes felt like the final season was easier, even though saying goodbye to someone you work with is never really fun.
For sure.
It could have actually been a creatively freeing experience for the rest of the cast.
That's a super interesting way to think about it.
Yeah.
And Grimes doesn't stop there. He even goes on to say that it was just time for Costner's character John Dutton to leave.
That's interesting. Do you think there were any hints about that in the story? Like, did Yellowstone fans see it coming?
Honestly, I'm not sure. On the one hand, John Dutton's the patriarch. The whole show revolves around him, right?
Right.
But on the other hand, we've seen him getting more and more disillusioned over time.
Yeah, you're right. There's definitely been that tension between the old ways and the modern world, like pushing in on the ranch.
Yeah,
Maybe some viewers could sense that something was changing.
for sure.
That John's story was kind of reaching a natural endpoint.
Yeah, I agree. There's definitely been this feeling like it was inevitable, but I'm still dying to see how Sheridan actually writes him out.
Yeah.
Speaking of endings, one thing that really hit me in this interview was how relieved Grimes seemed to be that the show was wrapping up.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, 7 years is a long time to play one character.
Oh, it's a really long time.
Yeah,
Actors talk about that a lot. You know how a long-running role can be both amazing and kind of a burden?
right?
Like, it gives you fame and stability, but it can also feel like you're stuck.
And think about the emotional toll. Casey has been through so much pain, so much loss.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Grimes must have been carrying all of that for years.
It's like extreme method acting.
Right.
You know, even if you're not consciously staying in character 24/7, those emotions, they kind of seep into you.
For sure.
It's got to be exhausting.
And in the article, Grimes actually uses the phrase cleanse the palate when he's talking about needing a break from Yellowstone before he can even watch it. It's like he needs to totally detox from Case Dutton.
That's intense.
Oh.
I've heard other actors talk about needing to shed a character after a long shoot, like drastically changing their look, traveling, taking on totally different roles.
It's all about getting back to themselves.
Exactly.
It makes you wonder if that's part of what makes Yellowstone so captivating. Like, the actors are so deeply connected to these characters that the emotions feel totally real.
Yeah, it's a tough balance. You need that commitment to bring the characters to life, but you also need space to step back and recharge.
Right.
And, pursue other creative things.
Absolutely. And speaking of other things, Grimes' comments about the Yellowstone spinoff really caught my attention. He seemed genuinely confused about how it could work after the main story is over. He even specifically mentions Case wanting a simple life away from the ranch and all the violence.
Oh, wow.
Almost like he's dropping a hint about what happens to Case in the finale.
Interesting, right? Like, does he even make it out of the finale alive? Never mind a spinoff.
Yeah, and if he does survive, what does a simple life even look like for Case? He's been a soldier, a rancher, a livestock agent.
I mean, come on.
It's hard to imagine him just chilling out in the suburbs.
Totally. And remember, Yellowstone is all about legacy, right?
Right.
About these deep family ties to the land and their fight to hold on to it.
Yeah.
So can Case really escape all of that?
Kind of feels like Sheridan is putting Case in this no-win situation. Like, stay and get swallowed up by the Dutton legacy, or break free and risk losing everything he knows.
It's that classic struggle, isn't it? Duty versus what you want, family versus freedom. And don't forget, Case is also super spiritual.
Right.
He's had those visions, those encounters with the wolf that hint at something bigger than the ranch,
Oh, yeah, good point. Those spiritual elements totally add another layer to this. It makes you think maybe his simple life isn't about a place. It's about finding inner peace,
Right.
about connecting with his true purpose.
That's a really interesting thought. It might not be about where he ends up, but who he becomes. Yeah.
And, that connects back to what Grimes said about needing to cleanse his own palate
Mm-hmm.
to detach from the character and find himself again.
Wow. I hadn't thought about it like that. It's like there's this parallel between Casey's journey and Grimes's experience as an actor.
Yeah.
They're both looking for that separation, that clarity after being so immersed in this world.
It's a really cool parallel, and it makes me even more curious about how Sheridan will handle the ending.
Me too.
Will Case find peace, or will he get pulled back into the drama?
And then there's the spin-off question.
Right.
If Casey does get his simple life, how do they even make a spin-off about that? It'd be like Little House on the Prairie meets Yellowstone.
Haha, I love that. But
Yeah.
you're right, it's kind of a head-scratcher. Unless maybe they shift the focus completely.
Oh, you mean like maybe the spin-off isn't even about Case?
Yeah.
Like maybe it focuses on a different part of the Dutton family, or even totally new characters who are connected to their world.
There are so many possibilities.
Yeah.
We could dive into the history of the ranch.
See how the Duttons built their empire, all the sacrifices they made?
A prequel, that would be awesome. Imagine seeing a younger John Dutton
Mm-hmm.
before he became so hardened by all the ranch stuff.
Right. I can totally see it. A rugged, ambitious John Dutton wrestling with the same conflicts between tradition and progress that we see in the show now.
Okay, now I'm on board with the prequel idea.
Right.
But let's not get too ahead of ourselves. There's one more thing Grimes said that really stuck with me.
Oh, what's that?
He admitted that he's not a big Yellowstone fan right now.
Really?
He even said he needs to cleanse the palate before he can even think about watching it again.
Wow, that's pretty honest. I've heard other actors say similar things. It's like when a chef spends all day making this amazing meal, they don't want to eat it themselves, you know?
That's a perfect analogy.
Yeah.
They need that space, that separation to appreciate the final product.
And I think that speaks to how intense Grimes's performance was.
Yeah.
He put so much of himself into Case Dutton that he needs time to recover, to figure out who he is outside of that role.
It really makes you think about what acting can do to you,
Yeah.
especially when you're playing someone with such a heavy emotional story.
Totally. It's not all glitz and glamour,
Yeah.
you know? It's hard work, both emotionally and mentally.
For sure.
And sometimes you just need a break.
Absolutely. But I bet once he's had some time to detach from it all,
Lisa.
he'll appreciate Yellowstone for what it is.
Right.
This huge epic about family legacy and the change of West.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he'll even become a fan.
I think you're right. It's like anything we're really invested in,
Yeah.
sometimes we need to step back to get a fresh perspective.
Totally. And speaking of the bigger picture, we've covered a lot today, haven't we?
We have.
We've got Grimes hinting at a possible major character death spin-off ideas that have everyone guessing,
Mm-hmm.
and a show creator who's keeping everyone in suspense
Even his own actors.
right until the very end.
It's definitely going to be an unforgettable finale. And I think what makes this so fascinating is that Yellowstone, at its heart, is about these universal themes.
Right.
Legacy, the choices we make, the consequences that affect generations.
It's bigger than just the Duttons, isn't it?
Right. It's about the whole American West.
Yeah.
That clash between holding onto the old ways and the modern world trying to take over.
And that's like caught in the middle.
Exactly.
He wants a simple life, but is it even possible for him?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Whether he rides off into the sunset or gets sucked back into the drama, his story just hits home for so many people.
It does.
Because we all kind of want that same thing, right?
Totally. Peace in the middle of all the chaos.
Exactly.
It's crazy how one interview can totally change how you see a show.
I know, right?
It's like we got this glimpse behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Not just of Yellowstone itself, but of what the actors are going through, too.
It is fascinating how they get so wrapped up in these characters that
Yeah.
it takes time to separate themselves again.
It reminds you that even in this crazy world of cowboys and billionaires,
Mm-hmm.
the most powerful stories are about real human emotions.
Absolutely.
I'm even more excited for the finale now.
Me too.
I'm going to be watching it with a whole new perspective,
Yeah.
looking for all those little details, the
Yeah.
things that aren't said out loud,
Right.
the choices that change everything.
And I think that's a great thing for our listeners to do, too.
Yeah.
As you watch the finale, ask yourselves, what's driving these characters? What happens because of the choices they make?
Yeah.
And most importantly, what does it all mean to you?
Such a good point, because in the end, that's what makes a story really stay with you, right?
Right.
It's not just about what you see on screen. It's about how it connects to your own life,
Exactly.
your own values, your own view of the world.
This has been such a great deep dive.
It has.
It's really made me see how complex Yellowstone is
Yeah,
as a show and as this cultural phenomenon.
me too. And I gotta say, I'm even more curious to see how it all ends.
The anticipation is killing me.
It's been awesome talking about all of this with you.
Likewise.
And to everyone listening, thanks for coming along for the ride. Don't forget the Yellowstone finale airs December 15th on Paramount+.
Definitely check it out.
Make sure to tune in and then come back and tell us what you thought.